The National Veterans Memorial and Museum began with a vision from the late Senator John Glenn, who understood the value of telling and sharing the story of our veterans. From the initial view, the architecture impresses upon visitors the importance of what lies within. Seeming to rise organically from the earth, the building itself is a symbol of our nation's veterans and their resilient spirit and unending commitment to making this country stronger. Once inside the museum, visitors embark on a narrative journey, following exhibitions that focus on the servicemen and women and their families. Individual stories and shared experiences are illustrated through personal artifacts, quotes, letters, photographs, and powerful films of veterans telling their unique story in their own words. The National Veterans Memorial and Museum. It's more than a museum. It's the new home of the brave. Plan your visit today.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to our latest episode of Rally Point. This is our monthly series bringing together veterans and topics and programs of interest or in support of veterans. My name's Bill Butler, Chief of Staff here at the National Veterans Memorial and Museum. And our Rally Point topic today is securing your financial future, which is very fitting given the current market environment and the conditions we see with the stock market, the housing market, and everything else that impacts people's financial security. So today I'm joined by two great Americans, Austin Steed, who's a United States Navy veteran. He's an established real estate agent and investor. He received his bachelor's degree from Ohio State University's Fisher College of Business in 2019. And it was during college that Austin first found his passion of building assets and wealth through real estate. And through his understanding and usage of VA loans, he's been able to grow his professional portfolio to what it is today while helping others do the same. Also with us is a great friend of the museum, Adam Stalnaker. He's a financial advisor with Rockport Wealth Advisors. He also earned a bachelor's degree from Ohio State University and has been actively pursuing his vision of building financial services firm that meets the full spectrum of client financial planning needs. The belief is that everyone needs a financial plan, and at Rockport, they've developed programs that make that a reality, no matter the asset level or income level they have. And then recently, Adam and his partner, Joe, created a financial literacy program exclusively for veterans and their families. All right, so let's get started. Austin, let's start with you. If you could just tell everybody a little bit about yourself and include a little bit of, what led you into the Navy, what inspired you to serve, and then what you did in service.
Yeah, sure. So I'm originally from Columbus, Ohio. Went to Hilliard Darby High School, and always knew that I kind of wanted to go to college after school, and didn't necessarily didn't have the means to do it. And I knew the service was a great avenue for that. I had a couple family members that were in the service, my grandfather and a couple uncles. So at age 18, I joined the Navy, and I was an aircraft mechanic, which was great. I was attached to VFA 154 and on the USS Nimitz. In 2013, we were in the Persian Gulf, and a lot of hard work and a lot of discipline that I learned that, and now kind of applying that to what I'm doing now, helping, investors, veterans kind of use the VA loan, and just trying to instill those habits that I once had.
All right, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So Adam, we know you're not a veteran, but you've been a tremendous friend of the museum. You've been supporting our mission and veterans for a very long time. So if you just, again, introduce yourself and
Absolutely.
why the desire and passion to support veterans.
Yeah, I think it goes back. I had two grandfathers in World War II and saw the pride in their service, and when they talk about, obviously they wouldn't go into huge detail, but when they talked about serving their country, there was huge pride. And then you fast forward to college, and what was interesting is a couple of my fraternity brothers went straight into the military right after, and we continue to be good friends to this day. Tony Main is one of them, who is a great friend of the museum as well, and also has created a transition program for veterans. So, so we're now Ranger for Life LLC. We're teaching veterans how to transition out, and I'm teaching the financial literacy portion of that, and kind of seeing the need, I think, is just keeps driving the passion to help and help serve in the local community now too. And what's great is that you guys are just down Route 71 from us, that in Cleveland, Ohio, and a lot of us up in Cleveland don't know that the museum exists. So trying to get your guys' mission out there, let everybody know what you guys are up to as well.
Great. Thank you. So thanks guys. If you read the news, you read websites, or watch the news, and the environment today is crazy, and it's unlike any that we've seen, at least in our lifetimes. Or when I was super young, I remember the oil embargo and long lines of cars, and people had to alternate on odd days or even days of the week just to get gas because of the OPEC oil embargo and the inflation rates at that time under the Carter administration. So today we see, unprecedented inflation. The Fed has increased interest rates very recently. So Austin, this question is for you. So, given your background as a real estate agent and investor, how can veterans leverage their post 9/11 GI Bill, their VA loan program, and any other benefits that take advantage of the benefits that they've earned, while also, I guess, not wasting any of the resources that they have?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We were, inflation was high. We were at a 40-year high of inflation and a 50-year low in mortgage interest rates. And the 50-year average is about 7.8% on interest rates. So I think we all I kind of saw it coming that they were going to be raising them. The Fed raised 0.75% on interest rates recently. Yes, 2 days ago it was half a percent, which was a big jump. And I think the secondary market is kind of anticipating things continuing to go up. So they're actually raised 2 or 3% from our lows. But again, those lows were a 50-year low, and that's a really long time. But during high inflation periods, you really want to be asset heavy. You don't want your money in a bank account just, being depreciated by inflation. So that's kind of where veterans, especially in any owner occupant loans, FHA, even conventional VA, any of those loans with low down payments, you can really leverage and get a nice asset on your balance sheet, which will help against inflation. But veterans specifically, they have a really great program, and I know a lot of veterans probably know about the VA loan, but I mean, it's zero down. The bank's financing 100% of the loan. So you can walk into something with no money out of pocket, no PMI. And so PMI is basically the insurance after 2008, where the bank's just making sure that if things go down again, you know, they have this, I would imagine, some sort of account with all the mortgage insurance that they're collecting. But again, VA loans don't have that at all. So one thing that we really do is with the VA loan, you know, you can buy a single family house, which is probably most of what people do, and which is great. And the VA loan's a good avenue for that. But it's kind of switching to the investor mindset, because it's totally legal to buy 1 to 4 units under the VA loan.
Mm-hmm.
So during this time of, you know, high inflation and rates have gone up slightly, it's still a great time to maybe buy a duplex using your VA loan, live in one side, rent one side out, and lower your cash monthly exposure, your cash outflow monthly. That way, you know, you can pursue other things, save money, make other investments, put more towards 401k. So I would just say during this high time of inflation, you know, you want to have a good balance sheet.
And then what's the what is there a sweet spot on how much money to have committed to paying off a loan or in a mortgage or on a down payment, or having all that cash available for investments in the long term? So, you know, I guess, I don't know, maybe this is a question for
Yeah.
both of you from, you know, different perspectives.
Yeah. Yeah, Adam, you can take it.
No, I was going to say, so from my perspective, it's all about putting the plan together, right?
Yeah.
And seeing how it all fits, and creating your goals, right? And that's the whole. And if you're buying a house, you know, what's your goal to come from? You know, Austin's talking about cash flow and everything like that. You know, that's all part of the plan. You know, how much, make sure your outflow of cash, you know, makes sense within your full financial plan, to where you are diversifying. If you're in real estate, you know, you mentioned 401k, you know, you're putting in outside non-qualified accounts so that you're spreading into the different buckets. But it all goes back to the plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for just people out there, like with the investor mindset, with the VA loan, there's a really, really simple, easy thing to remember, and we call it the 1% rule. So if you buy a house for $100,000 and it makes $1,000 a month, that's usually a pretty good deal. So it is, as prices have gone up, you know, rent has gone up as well. But that's one thing. If you can get close to that 1% rule, that's really kind of the name of the game, if you will.
Okay, great. And then we got a little ahead of ourselves, just, you know, with regard to Adam and Rockport Wealth Advisors and some of the programs that you've got there. So you've got, you know, a financial planning program specifically for veterans and their family members. Yep. Can you just describe that a little bit and how that would be beneficial given the current market?
Sure. So a lot of it starts now. What we found was a lot of people just didn't understand what financial planning was and why it was important. So we created a free financial planning course on veteraninvestmentplanning.com. It's a 5-day course, 5 to 7 minutes of a video, teaches you how to put together a net worth statement, how to create goals, how to create an action plan around those goals, and kind of look at yourself as and assess kind of where you currently are and what your needs are. So that's kind of where it starts. But then the whole planning portion around it is, you know, we take into account some of the things that, you know, Austin can do. We look at, you know, some different benefits that maybe guys as they're transitioning out don't understand, because they've had, you know, TRICARE within the military, but maybe they haven't been in long enough, so they don't get it when they come out. So a whole batch of other things within the planning and the plan itself that guys and girls need to, really pay attention to, that they don't understand. I'm counseling a guy who's transitioning out right now, and he hasn't been in long enough. He only gets TRICARE, I think, 3 months after he transitions out. And so he's got to make healthcare decisions. He's got to talk through all his benefits. Is he going to get the disability? What kind of life insurance does he need? What does he choose within his 401k, within the options? There's a whole lot more options than there is in TSP. TSP is, as you guys know, you guys were in it, there's not a whole lot of options to it. And a lot of the guys don't even realize that they're probably in the G fund, and they've been in there the whole time, which is in itself a whole nother issue. But, I think, and I'm going to go back to it many times today. You're going to be like, Adam's pounding it into us that you need a financial plan. But think of anything that you guys do, right? Whether it was in the military, or it's in your personal lives, or Bill at the museum, having a plan before will most likely, lead to better outcomes at the end, right? So if you have a plan going into something like your finances or retirement or buying a house or any of those sorts of things, you're going to succeed much better with a plan.
Mm-hmm. And then, a lot of people have a hard time, they conceptually understand what the plan is, but really digging down into the details. So, some friends of mine are also financial planners, and their frustration with clients of theirs, not necessarily veterans, is, people will come in and they don't have the level of fidelity that they need to really make educated and informed decisions to then allow them to achieve their goals. So I guess what would your advice be on, with a prospective client or a veteran that's availing themselves the program that you've created, what should they really be looking at?
Well, I think it's, you want to educate yourself as much as possible. In today's internet, there's so many things to sift through. Mm-hmm. What's right and what's wrong. And I think that's where you take that information, you learn as much as you can, but then you find a professional that can help guide you through, and somebody that you can bounce those questions off of. Whether it is, I want a retirement home. What's that going to look like? I want to add an investment property like Austin's doing. What does all that look like, and what do I need to think of? And we've got a lot of the answers, but part of what we do too is we quarterback things. So mm-hmm. I've got CPAs and attorneys and real estate agents and those sorts of people that, if somebody comes to me with a question, I can help educate them as best as possible, because education is the next step to these things. As we talk about literacy, and we talk about it, in the military, outside of the military, I think there's a problem overall in this country, not just within the military, when it comes to financial literacy. A lot of people just don't know what they should be doing, and the importance of saving early in life. The power of saving early is, we did a video on this recently, and it is insanity. And I wish I could go back and find, my 22-year-old self and, kick myself in the butt to save more at that point in time. But, it's taking that knowledge and that education and trying to get that in front of as many people as possible.
Okay, great. And then Austin, just from my real estate perspective, so somebody's looking for, a home to buy, is a residential domicile for them and their family. What are like the top three things that they need to be concerned with?
So just a single family house?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say, I would always say, one, you'll get an inspection report. So, you'll want to go over that, but there's the main things of the house, the roof, HVAC, things like that. Anything that starts with 5 digits, I always say you really want to take a look at. And then I would always recommend, you shop interest rates. Sometimes people might find one lender, but that one lender is you're gonna know them for 30 days, and then that mortgage you'll have is 30 years. So it's worth maybe getting a couple credit pools on the rates, and then. Yeah, other than that, just make sure you have a good real estate agent, and I think one thing that I provide to my clients is, where we do a lot of construction, I know what things cost. Having someone like in your corner that can kind of say, okay, like this needs new flooring and things like that, or granite countertops. Like I can name prices for all those things. But having someone like that, because this is a tough market. Everyone knows. I mean, the real estate market was on fire. So I've advised clients to, maybe buy something a little bit more run down, or, a little bit more dated, like painting walls and putting carpet down, which really isn't that big a deal in the construction in the construction side of things. And then that way you're able to, get a discount on the purchase price.
We've heard, so we've had a number of new employees move from other cities to Columbus, and it's not an easy market in which to buy, and they're having, buyers come in, the other buyers are, outbidding them, or they come in with all cash, or they're waiving inspections. So I guess what's your take on, those concerns, and, do you try to keep up with the Joneses, or is that too much risk for, a potential buyer?
Yeah, I mean, you can. It all depends on the client. Like if they really want Upper Arlington schools, we'll help them get that. But it again is just, if you can buy something dated, maybe find a different avenue to get your foot in the door. And then as veterans too, it's like a lot of things like with the appraisal gap coverage, which is basically like the house doesn't appraise, the buyer will show up with cash at the closing table. That really dilutes the VA loan, right? Because the VA loan, the 0 down, you're saving cash, you have a favorable interest rate. So those are kind of tough pills to swallow, but at the end of the day, it's what someone wants, and we try to help them achieve that.
Okay, and then just shifting back to Adam. So, we've got some of our young employees. They're not taking advantage of the 401k match. So
it's a cardinal sin right there.
Yeah.
Money.
So
you're killing me.
How do you educate and inform? And what would you say to any audience member that's out there listening?
Yeah, I mean, at a minimum, you need to get that free match. I mean, that's free money. You got to do that. And then we usually say like 10% is a good rule. Rule of thumb to save, but sometimes that's hard for people to get to. Sure. Maybe they start at 5, but then maybe on your birthday every year or your work anniversary, you raise it 1% to get to that 10%. You don't have to rip the Band-Aid off completely to get to that number. It can be tough, but to get to that number, it may be a little bit of pain now, but it's going to be so much better for you down the road. And along with that too is when we talk about planning, people think financial planning, well, now I can't have any fun. I can't do anything that I like. It's all about planning for it, right? You can plan for, trips. I'm just a guy transitioning out. He's like, hey, we want to go on this big European vacation, before we have kids, do all these other things. I was like, well, can you afford it? Is it in your plan? Have you saved for it? Yes. Well, then don't worry. Just go do it. Like, these are things you got to have experiences in life and have fun and enjoy your money. As many times as we counsel people to save more money, it's funny. The generation now, the baby boomers, we're trying to counsel them to spend money and go on trips and they'll hold on to their money. And then by the time they're 75, 80 years old and they can't enjoy it, now they're sitting here with this money and they haven't enjoyed it. So we've got to be like, spend your money, go on a trip, take your kids, take your grandkids, enjoy it. But it's all part of it, right? I mean, you don't want to put together a plan where you're not having any fun.
Sure. Yeah. And the folks that we work with over the years, or mentors, they always said, pay yourself first. And that means not necessarily going on a vacation, but having that long-term vision and plan on where you want to be 30 years.
Well, and it goes back to the saving discipline, right? And you learn that at a young age, and that's why we're trying to get it in front of. We talked about transitioning. Let's talk about the 18-year-old enlisted guy who maybe doesn't have a whole lot of money, but he starts in that saving $25 a month and gets that, he gets that behavior in his head that I can save, and it's gonna, go tenfold down the road for him.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Austin, any advice for somebody that, they might have a little bit more flexibility based on their personal circumstances or their financial circumstances on, what to look for if you're wanting to buy investment property?
Yeah, I think that if you're wanting to, buy an investment property, I would say, like, location is huge, right? And I mean, Columbus alone is a great market. One of the first things that I look at is population. So is population increasing or decreasing, right? So Columbus has a steady population growth. So that's kind of like rule number one, because and nowadays a lot of people are doing out-of-state investing and that kind of thing. So if you're not in a great market, you can always look towards other paths. And then within that, even the submarkets. So one thing that I do in Columbus personally is I follow development, like try to like pretty closely. So any major developments that are happening within the city. So I don't know if you've heard the Trolley Barn. It's like near Franklinton or Franklin Park. And then even the museum, right? It's like that's in Franklinton. You can kind of see all the things that's happening in Franklinton, and you might be a little bullish and going over there. But at the end of the day, it's where the development's kind of happening, what kind of $1 billion developments are taking place, and that way you can kind of ride the wave in a sense. So so at the end, it's all about kind of location and just kind of following what's kind of happening in the city that you're investing in.
Okay. And then just right back to you, Austin. So when you were getting out of the Navy, thinking back to your transition and, what you did to set yourself up for success, are there any lessons learned, good or bad, or both, that you have to share?
When I kind of started, I was just kind of using the VA loan, and a lot of times I think people get something we call analysis paralysis.
Right.
And that's when they just run the numbers, look at houses. And at the end of the day, you know, it's not going to be a golden apple. Like you want a good apple, but kind of, you know, jump and do it. And you don't make a poor decision, but, you know, make a good, sound decision. And then from that, you're going to learn property management. Like I self-manage everything. So you'll learn property management, how to deal with tenants. You'll learn how much a toilet costs, you know, things like that. Because people are always like, well, what if I get the late night calls? And it's like, I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that rent. Like how often are you really calling your landlord at midnight on Friday? Like, unless it's a legitimate emergency. But yeah, I would just say, you know, just kind of, you know, take a small step forward and start, and then that way you can kind of grow from there. Actually, when I was in the service, when I was 21, I bought my first house. It was a single family, and everyone was like, what are you doing? You know, like, there's no way you should be doing this. And I was like, I don't know. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And I was like, I'm just gonna do it. And I figured out a way, right? Like I bought a single family, and, you know, I was 21. I wasn't married or anything. So I had a few roommates that helped offset my income or my cash outflow, right? So it's kind of that mindset of like, if I can eliminate my biggest expense somehow, which is usually, you know, rent or a mortgage, like that will be good in the long run. And then I'll talk to Adam and give him 20%, right? Just like that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So I would but all in all, it's just kind of start and but make a good decision.
Okay. Yeah, judgment is so crucial. So Adam, you know, when service member, everybody gets out of the military at some point, whether it's after 2 years of service or after 30 or more years of service. So ideally, when should folks start thinking about transition and about, you know, kind of financial literacy and that sort of thing as they're going to transition?
Well, on the transition side, when with our class, Ranger for Life LLC, it's usually around 18 months you start thinking about it, to where you start getting all your ducks in a row. You know, within our course, we're teaching guys how to create their LinkedIn profiles, how to create a resume, how important a network is. You know, a network outside of, you know, the military is huge, but you guys have such a natural network with veterans all across all walks of life. So if you guys are interested in any sort of industry in the veteran community, you can find somebody that is willing to help and be a mentor, but you got to take the steps into action around it. If you're just gonna, you know, guide yourself, you know, until, you know, you're transitioning out and then expect to find a job in the field that you want, it's going to be tough. But on that too, like, you got to start looking at outside life insurance. We've had a lot of issues as guys transition out and apply for disability. A lot of these things start getting in their medical records, so you want to start looking at outside life insurance as soon as you can, because, you know, if you're having children, you have all these needs, and if when you transition out, this information does not allow you to get insurance, then you've got this huge gap. So we've seen that. You know, a lot of other issues are large purchases within the military community. I've been on base. I've seen a large pickup truck. Very impressive, but also not cheap. So, you know, you look at those smart purchases versus, you know, good debt versus bad debt. Austin, you're talking good debt, right? You're talking money. You're taking on debt, yes, but you're creating cash flow. How impressive a nice truck is, and I'm hopefully not going to get bad feedback after this and bad comments, but it's just not going to make you any money. So, looking at those sorts of things beforehand. Budgets. How many people have created a budget while you're in the military? So if you create the budget, you have an idea around that, I think transitioning out is going to be so much more comfortable when it comes to either buying your first house through Austin or, getting that job and now putting more money away. You've got a better understanding and better feeling. And it just takes a lot of stress away too if you understand finances. And I've read many a survey that has shown that there's a 40% of guys transitioning out in the soft community are not prepared. And if you add that stress, it adds it on your marriage. It adds it in life, your total health. I mean, just think of stress in general. We have enough stresses in life than with kids and jobs and everything like that. If you can get your finances under control and get a good understanding and take that stress off, that's just going to make, holistically you that much better.
Yeah. When I was still on active duty, every time I deployed, it was with the 173rd Airborne Brigade in Vicenza, Italy. So every time we'd come back, guys had deployment money that they had saved. They weren't spending any money. And we had the hazardous duty pay that was accruing. And, within that first week, guys were walking back from the PX, this exchange, and they'd have, a 50-inch LED TV and the grocery cart, pushing it across the parking lot over to the barracks. Or then, of course, you're seeing all these brand new cars.
Boats.
Mustang. Well, not boats in Italy.
Oh, okay. Okay. This is just
There's
Italy.
Either Davidson motorcycles, Ducati motorcycles, or muscle cars, Mustangs, and Camaros and whatnot. It's just like, oh my God, they're just blowing their money that they earned.
Yeah.
So I'll say, I don't know if you've seen this, but the biggest thing that we noticed from when I retired in 2017 was, you have BAH, basic allowance for housing, post or off post housing. You've got the commissary at whatever base you reside on. You've got SGLI, which is incredibly inexpensive, and then you've got your health care that you're not paying for you and your family. And then when you lose all of those benefits because you're no longer in the service, that can be a shock. And a lot of people, I don't think, realize when they're making the decision on, do I stay in for another reenlistment? Should I get out? I don't think they realize the impact that has on their financial well-being. It was even, we once a month, like the dutiful old retired folks, we drive over to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and go to the commissary, because it is a very big savings on sundry items, and particularly meat right now is so expensive, and it's much more reasonable over at the commissary. Did you Did you realize that kind of before you got out, or you're like, oh my God, I didn't realize how good we had it type thing?
Yeah, what I really liked about what they did in the military was kind of like Adam saying, you have to have a plan.
Yeah.
The military is really good at, kind of forcing that plan on you, right? So even the way you get paid is like, okay, BAH, that goes towards your housing, right? That's not how it really works. When you get out, you make so much money, and then that's when you have to say, okay, well, how much do I want to spend in each category, right? So it's much more, free will, and which is good in a way, but also, maybe, sometimes that might be hard to manage. And so, I mean, Adam, now I'm following on piggybacking on you is, just have that plan. And I guess for me personally, I just kind of always, it was weird. I just really, really wanted to lower my cash outflow every month. And I don't know, that's just something specifically about me that, but as long as you can kind of have that mindset, and, you're not buying the boats, you're not buying the motorcycles, and eventually, obviously everyone should want to, and maybe even a little bit before 65 or 62, right? So, but Adam, you might disagree with me on that, actually. So, but so I just think that as long as you can kind of have that plan, and realize that the way the military set it up is actually a great program. If you just probably look at that, the way they paid you, probably something similar to that is how you should live once you get out.
It's so difficult, I think, for them though, because it's this newfound freedom. Because basically, right, you were told where to go, what to do, and how to do it for how long, and now you've got this. Hey, I've got a paycheck, and now either I've got to pay for my health expenses, I've got to save my own stuff for retirement. Like, there's a lot of change that I think. And I don't think you guys are counseled very well on as you come out.
Right. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the year, we would always get a statement that put value to all the benefits in the military, and it's commissary, comparison, the PX or BX, the BAH, the insurance, the healthcare, dental care, everything. And the first couple of years I got those, was like, okay, there's really no way that it's this valuable. But the longer that we were in, and now that we're out, and they also included, like, the cost of daycare on base.
Because they have a kid.
And fitness centers, all of that stuff, and it's a pretty good analysis of the value of your current service and the salary that you're being paid as a service member. So, Adam, I would make sure you reiterate that with the guys and gals that you're seeing. That is going to be, it'll be a noticeable difference.
It absolutely is, and I think as some of the guys now that I've started talking to a few years ago are now transitioning out and understanding that. But I think, having a transition course, if you're transitioning out, finding a group that will help you, whether it's, the Global Soft Community, Ranger for Life, if you're a Ranger, just because that's who we're working with. So we're a little impartial to, our transition program. But have somebody don't be afraid to ask for help and guidance and mentors. I mean, that's important when you're coming out. I mean, Austin, you're pretty new to coming out of the military, and so you can help guide these guys and give them real life examples of how you succeeded. You know, some of the things maybe you wish you would have done, and that's where these guys need to seek people out that have done it in the past too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's very sage advice. So let's talk a little bit about either underutilized or little known resources and programs that are out there. So Austin, are there any that you know of that are, it's a tremendous value that just people aren't taking advantage of?
Yeah, it's good value. I would say one is interest rates, I think, are scaring people a little bit, because I would disagree with what the Fed's doing. I mean, they're just, and even furthermore, the secondary market is just raising them so incredibly quickly. It's almost like they overcompensated during COVID, and now they're, just kind of taking them back. But one thing that, I've kind of like thought about, and why I'm still purchasing real estate right now, is there's kind of a win-win situation. And specifically with the VA loan, it's called an EARL. It's the interest rate reduction loan. So it's basically a refinance, but it's only rate and term. And what that means is, like, whatever your principal balance currently is, you're refinancing that. And it's a really simple process. Like, I think the banks don't even need to verify income, just because the assets already there. It's VA backed. So that it kind of rolls into it. So even though interest rates have kind of gone up, with this EARL program, you have to keep in mind that if you lock in now for 30 years and interest rates still go up, you're in a good position, because now you're looking at the rates currently and you're like, oh, thank God I locked in now.
Right.
If you lock in now and rates go down, you use your EARL. You have to own the house for 6 months, but after 6 months, if rates are down, you can use your EARL. So that's just one tool. So if anyone's out there like, oh man, I wanted to buy, but interest rates went up, and now, I got cold feet or whatever it is. Just remember that program specifically for VA loans is there. And so, you're kind of in a good position, no matter which way it goes.
Okay, great. And then Adam, what about you?
I'm all about self-promotion. So on the transition side, of guys who are transitioning out, look up Ranger for Life LLC. And follow Ranger for Life LLC. I think it's a great program. And if you don't fit in the program, we'll find a spot somewhere to help you transition out. And then, once again, self-promotion. Our free financial planning course. I think a lot of people say, what's the catch? I mean, there's no catch. We're just trying to add some value out there where we see. And if people want to call us afterwards or talk to us afterwards, feel free. We'll give a free consultation afterwards. But take the course, kind of see where you're sitting. Some things you might be eye-opening, like on a good way or in a bad way. So I think those are two big things that I think can really impact people in a no outlay of funds sort of way.
So how do they find the course?
So veteraninvestmentplanning.com. Free course is sitting right there. Okay. They sign up, and it's right there. And for 5 days, one course comes, or one class comes a day. There's a workbook that comes along with it. It's got a budget attached to it too. So there's a lot of people that, maybe you've never done a budget before. Do it just for that. So you've got a budget worksheet that you can, learn and put those things together. Because I think a lot of people are like, well, I don't have any money to save. I don't have anything, at the end of the month or anything in excess. I think if they take this course, they do their budget, I think they're going to find some things. I'm sure they've got online streaming accounts that they're not using, or a gym membership that they signed up for years ago that they haven't, or they're buying a $5 cup of coffee every day when they don't need to.
Yeah, we did that with one of our kids about a year ago, and asked them to kind of lay out their budget, and they said, I spend whatever on groceries and this on going out and whatever on gym membership and
Sure. Yep.
And cable. And we said, okay, let's show us, let's pull up the statements. and they did, and they were wildly inaccurate. They were way off the mark.
I'm sure there was so much money there that they could have been saving and
Oh
investing.
yeah, exactly. And to their credit, they're like, "Oh my God, I had no idea. Thank you for making me do this." So a bunch of subscriptions were canceled that weren't being utilized, or just it was passive income for whatever the
right.
Hulu
business if you can get it right.
Right. And then they've been able to save a lot of money just based on those small.
I think you bring up a good exercise right there, and I know a lot of credit cards do it, where they send out that summary at the end of the year of what you spent all your money on, and doing that once a year and just kind of eliminating things, I think is a good exercise for people that they can take away from this too, because I'm sure, and I need to heed my own advice. I'll probably go do this this weekend and look at it. I have every streaming service in the world, but yeah, I think that's a great exercise to do, Bill.
Yeah. So veteran planning or veteraninvestmentplanning.com.
Yep.
Okay. And then Austin, what about you?
Like best way to get a hold.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I would say we have, just phone number 614-531-5455. Then we also have limrealtygroup.com. So I'm at limrealtygroup.com.
Okay. Awesome.
And we've got a Facebook page, a Facebook group that we're trying to create a community of just, veterans like yourselves to talk about these different topics, whether it's real estate or it's, investing or saving, or, we've got a LinkedIn group too. So we're trying to get people where they're naturally becoming now. I hate being online all the time, but it's the world that we live in, and it's where we, meet a lot of people now, because within Instagram and Facebook and all these other places that we're trying to put educational videos out, it's out there. So follow us on all those because we put out some good, timely stuff too.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So any closing comments from either of you?
I think the important part, and I'm going to hit everybody on the head with it again, have a plan. Whether it goes to, real estate investing with Austin, or, anything you do in life, I think it's just so important to have a plan, especially in my world. It's any new client that comes into my office, they have a plan, or we just don't work with them, because it just doesn't work that way. They ask us for our best, advice and investments. Well, our best advice is based on what your goals are, not based on, a stock tip, or, Amazon's down a lot, like right now, with a lot of other, we're not stock tip people. We're goal based investing people.
Yeah, and it's a long-term thing. It's a marathon for sure. You're not gonna get rich quick unless you just happen to buy Bitcoin when it was $500.
Right. Or you weren't the person that bought it at 60,000 then.
Yeah.
That was
work
out real well.
Exactly.
But it's for another episode.
Exactly. All right. Well, so again, these are programs available to any veteran, irrespective of branch of service or branch or military occupational specialty within one of the branches. So,
and if they're civilians too, go to rockportwealth.com. Same sort of program, but it's the civilian based piece of it.
Great. So guys, thanks so much. I'm going to wrap up with some closing comments just about the goings on that we have here at the museum, but we really appreciate both of you participating today, but most importantly, both of you for the service that you're providing veterans and veteran families. So thank you for what you do for our veterans and trying to pay it forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
You bet. So we've got Memorial Day coming up. It's our Super Bowl week. So please go to our website at nationalbmm.org/Memorial Day 2022 to learn about all the events that we have planned that weekend. And just kind of running through those. We've got a virtual race and run that's available. So that's registration is open as we speak. It opened on or it starts on the 13th. Registration is open now. So that's a virtual run, walk, ruck, or roll. if anybody's interested in distances of 1 mile, 5K, or 10K. So pick your poison on that. It'll be a great time. You can do it from wherever you live. And then on May 18th through the 30th, we've got the Eyes of Freedom exhibition. And that talks about the Ohio-based Lima Company Marines that had 23 killed in action from 3 to 5 Marines in Iraq. It's a compelling and tragic and moving story of sacrifice. And then May 19th through June 12th, we've got the USAA Poppy exhibit that talks about the 645,000 service members who have fallen in service to our country. So again, another moving exhibit about service and sacrifice. And then on May 28th at 8 a.m., we've got Veterans Jiu Jitsu seminar at the museum. And we are welcoming Marine veteran Joey Zenti, founder of Veterans Jiu Jitsu in Austin, Texas. And then John Kofer, a Navy veteran, also a black belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu out of Washington State. So they're going to provide seminar instruction to any of our martial arts aficionados or fans. And then at 10 a.m. on May 28th, we've got the Rooftop CrossFit Hero Workout of the Day in honor of Eddie Laredo. So come join us on that. It'll be a great opportunity. Just because it says CrossFit, don't be scared. It's body weight only, and it's at your own pace. So come learn about Eddie Laredo and honor him and his sacrifice and that of his family. But then, just come and work up a little sweat with some great folks. And then 10 a.m. on May 28th for any motorcycle riders, we've got the National Ride for Freedom. So that'll start at AD Faro North, and then everybody will rally at the museum. We'll have food trucks and a band, or I'm sorry, not a band, but food trucks and music. And then the riders will be able to come into the museum. And then on May 29th at 7:30 p.m., we've got a Gold Star Family Candlelight Vigil. So you talk about one of those events that, everybody gets a lump in their throat and, the allergies start acting up. That's that event. So we will read the names of the fallen from all the families that come to that. That's a really moving event. And then our culminating event is Monday morning at 10 a.m., our Memorial Day ceremony. So we're welcoming Miss Cheryl Mason. She's the chairman of the Board of Veterans Appeal at the VA, and she's going to be our keynote speaker there. And we've also got confirmation that we're going to have a flyover from 2 Air Force F-16s. So nice. It'll be a great event. So please join us on that. And then just a couple of other announcements. We recently unveiled our Resilience and Wellness program that here at the museum, and it includes free veteran jiu-jitsu program 3 days a week. So a lot of people are, why Brazilian Jiu Jitsu? Well, there are 2 university studies that have shown a marked reduction in PTSD symptoms for combat veterans or veterans in general that suffer from PTSD. And there are studies from the University of South Florida and another from Adler University. And those veterans, they participated in a 5-month Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu program. And along with the treatment that they're having, it really reduced the anxiety, the depression, the suicide ideation, and other PTSD symptoms. So we're providing that service here at the museum now.
That's great. And
then on Sunday, June 5th, we'll start our free yoga program. So come out and check that out. And then we recently started our new e-commerce at our website. So it's slightly different. It's shop.nationalvmm.org. And we've partnered with some great companies. They're all either veteran owned or veteran operated. And you can get some great products from them. And then lastly, we've got to give a special thanks of support to our supporting sponsor, Lane Aviation. They've been with us since Rally Point was an idea. So we truly appreciate their support in making this episode and future episodes a reality. So that's it for us. Thanks again for joining us. Everybody have great weekends. Be safe and make good decisions.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
Wars aren't fought by countries. They're fought by people. Now, hear their stories in their own words. Honor their service in your own way. at the only museum in America that gives a voice to all our veterans. The National Veterans Memorial and Museum. It's more than a museum. It's the new home of the brave.